The history of our time will show that the bravery of a handful of Americans doing their duty saved us from an even more grave constitutional crisis. The brave men and women of the Capitol Police, the Metropolitan Police, and all the other law enforcement officers who fought to defend us that day saved lives and our democracy.
As we continue to await the release of the January 6th committee's final report, let's bring in someone who was at the Capitol on that day and, as Committee Vice Chairwoman Liz Cheney rightfully indicated, helped save lives and our very democracy. I'm joined now by Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn. Officer Dunn, it's always great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Joy.
And at the risk of taking you back to a very negative place, and I will apologize before doing it, I want to play, this is cut two for my wonderful director. These are some of the radio transmissions that we heard from law enforcement on January 6th. Here they are.
They had Glock-style pistols in their waistband.
8736 with the message that subject, weapon on his right hip. After that, he's in the tree.
Motor 1, make sure PPD knows they have an elevated threat in the tree south side of Constitution Avenue. Look for the Don't Tread on Me flag, American flag face mask, cowboy boots, weapon on the right side hip.
I got 3 men walking down the street in fatigue while carrying AR-15. Copy at 14th and Independence.
When you were on with us on Monday on the big special, you talked about the fact that you didn't have to speculate about how differently a Black Lives Matter, presence at the Capitol to protest and what we saw on January 6th would be, because you were attended both. You were there for both. You were working both, and you saw the difference. But I wonder about that. I'm always bothered by the idea that many people came armed toward the Capitol, and that the Capitol Police weren't told this is what you could be facing, armed people. I just re-ask this again. Do you feel that the intel that was coming into the FBI was properly shared with your agency so that you could know what was coming?
Well, when it comes to intel sharing and information sharing and all that stuff, that's not necessarily a rank and file issue. The officers on the ground, they're the ones who just go out there. They're the day-to-day officers that you see on the street around the Capitol. So the people that make those decisions about the intelligence and the sharing, the cliche is they're a higher pay grade. Right. That's above my pay grade. But what we do need to know, it would be helpful to know if we're dealing with armed individuals. So that traffic is important because we're the first line of officers that are going to be encountering them. But as far as like the intel sharing, I'm curious to see what the report says about that, because that needs to trickle down. I don't know what the mishap was or where the lines of communication were broken, even if they were. But I'll just wait for the report to get that information.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we are getting are some of the transcripts that are coming out, and from some of the new transcripts that have come out tonight. One of them is testimony from a White House press aide, a deputy press secretary named Sarah Matthews, who she detailed a meeting in the Oval Office on the meeting of January 5th with the president and his press team, where he asked them for ideas on how they could make, quote unquote, rhinos, Republicans in name only, as they call it, do the right thing. She testified that another Trump press aide named Chad Gilmartin did not want Trump to condemn the violence that you experience and other officers experience because it would, quote, let the media win, and about how Trump did not want to mention peace or say anything about staying peaceful. What do you make of the idea that while you're going through hell, you have White House press aides saying it would let the media win if Trump called it off?
You know what's crazy is that, looking at all these, we're hearing all these transcripts and everything, just how deep and how involved so many of the people, elected officials, individuals that were inside the president's inner circle, just how deep it went. They knew that what they were doing was wrong. And the fact that they said, let the media win, how about let America win? How about let the police officers win? The media, what the hell? Like, what are we doing here? I can't believe that was spun out. Like, we can't admit that. You got officers who lost their lives, who lost their livelihood, that can't come back to work, that got their asses beat. we suffered a lot of losses that day, mental health, physical health, and y'all talking about letting the media win. These are people's lives that you're dealing with, outside of dealing with the threat of losing democracy. You're hurting officers who swore an oath to protect this country, to uphold their oaths, and y'all are out here talking about letting the media win. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Dude, when you, as a Capitol Police officer, had to confront and see some of these lawmakers in the hallways who were either saying that this was just a normal tourist visit, that it wasn't an insurrection, denying that the violence that you and your brother officers and sister officers experienced, that it resulted in some of them dying, literally. Do they ever say to you, I'm sorry that I did that. I'm sorry that I lied about January 6th. I know that what you went through was real?
There are individuals who walk the hall, not necessarily lawmakers, that in the Capitol community, it's a lot of people that work there, but it's a small community. And majority of the individuals who are there feel bad about what we went through. They thank us for our service. And, it really means a lot when they say those things. As far as like specific individual members of Congress, I haven't been personally approached and say, sorry about that. I haven't. But that's not necessary for me. I don't do my job for recognition or to admit people doing the right thing. It's important to defend people's right to say what they feel, even if I disagree with what it is, or even if it's a lie. However, it's important for other people that are in other positions to call out those lies and confront them on them. That's not my job as a police officer. My job is to protect you, to be able to say what you want to say, what you have the freedoms to say, whether I agree with it or not. But the media needs to call out what's a lie and what's not. And the people who hold those members accountable do so at the ballot box, and that's their job to do so. That's why the whole democracy thing is not just a one person's job or one entity's job. Everybody has a role to play in it. And fortunately, on that day, on January 6th, we did our job to uphold it. And at the ballot box in November, this past November, a majority of Americans did their part to uphold it also.
Well, I will join those who thank you for your service and for all that you do. And if you want to see a police department that treats people respectfully and kindly when they come onto the Capitol, it is the Capitol Police. You guys do a great job. So thank you for all that you do.